Count Jisoo lived on the edge of the colony, where the lights were few and the nights were long. The world was called Haven Ridge, a small human settlement built on red soil and quiet hills. Jisoo worked as a systems engineer, fixing power lines, old sensors, and broken machines that others no longer cared about. He liked the silence. It helped him forget the past he never talked about. Years ago, before Haven Ridge was calm, Jisoo had been a younger man working on a deep space relay station. That was during the first years of human expansion, when fear traveled faster than ships. It was also the time he met her. On this night, the colony alarm broke the silence. A low sound rolled across the settlement like distant thunder. Jisoo stopped working and looked up at the sky. A strange light moved behind the clouds. It was not a human ship. He felt a cold weight in his chest, a feeling he thought was long gone. People began to gather in the streets. Some pointed. Some ran back inside their homes. Jisoo stayed still. The light above was too familiar. His hands shook as old memories returned. Many years earlier, a damaged alien craft had fallen near the relay station. Human forces were slow to respond, and fear ruled every choice. Jisoo had been sent alone to inspect the crash site. He expected a dead pilot. Instead, he found a living being, wounded and weak. Hiding among broken metal dots, she did not look human, but she was close enough to feel familiar. Her skin had a faint silver tone, her eyes dark and wide. She could not speak his language then. She was afraid. Jisoo remembered how she raised her hands, not in threat, but in fear. He had a choice that day. He could call for security and let them decide her fate. Or he could act on instinct. Jisoo chose instinct. He gave her water. He wrapped her wounds. He guided her away from the station before patrols arrived. He never learned her name. She touched his hand once before leaving, a small gesture that stayed with him longer than he expected. Later, he heard rumors. The alien was hunted. The crash was covered up. Jisoo was told never to speak of it again. He obeyed. Life moved on. Or so he thought. Now the past had returned. A loud voice echoed through the colony network, calling all citizens to remain calm. Human defense ships lifted into the sky, small and weak compared to the unknown vessel above. Jisoo felt anger rise inside him. Humans were still afraid, still quick to raise weapons. A bright beam of light descended near the central landing field. Dust rose into the air. Soldiers formed lines, weapons ready. Jisoo pushed through the crowd, ignoring shouted warnings. He did not know why his feet moved, only that they had to. The light faded, and a figure appeared. She stood tall and calm, her presence strong. Her clothing shimmered like liquid metal. Her face was the same, and yet different, stronger, confident. Her eyes scanned the humans. Without fear, then her gaze found Jisoo. Time seemed to stop, her expression changed. The calm broke into something softer, something personal. She stepped forward, ignoring the weapons aimed at her. Some soldiers shouted. Others froze. She spoke, her voice clear through the translators that activated around her. Her words were simple. She said his name, Kang Jisoo. A shock ran through the crowd. Jisoo felt his breath leave him. No one else should know that name. She approached him slowly. The soldiers hesitated. No one fired. She stopped a short distance away and lowered her head slightly, a sign of respect. Her voice carried again. She said she was called Era. Era said she had searched for him across stars and years. She said she had returned because she owed a debt she could never forget. The officials demanded answers. They asked why she came. They asked what she wanted from humanity. Era listened, but her eyes stayed on Jisoo. She said humans saved her life once. One human did. Fear spread among the crowd. Whispers passed from person to person. Some looked at Jisoo with suspicion, others with awe. Jisoo felt small under their eyes. He wanted to disappear, but Era's gaze held him steady. Human leaders insisted she be escorted to a secure facility. Era agreed, but only under one condition. Jisoo must come with her. The demand caused chaos. Jisoo protested, but his voice was lost. Soldiers surrounded him. Orders were given. He was taken away, his quiet life left behind in moments. Inside the transport, Era finally spoke to him alone. She thanked him. She told him that his kindness had changed her fate, that because of him she had survived, grown stronger, and risen within her people. Jisoo did not know what to say. He told her he only did what felt right. Era smiled. She said that was why she never forgot him. As the transport moved toward the secure center, Jisoo realized something important. The universe had not forgotten humanity either, and this time humans would not face it alone. The secure center was built deep into the rock beneath Haven Ridge. Thick walls and bright white lights made the place feel cold and hard. Kang Jisoo sat at a metal table, his hands resting in front of him. He was not restrained, but guards stood near every door. He felt like a stranger in his own world. Era sat across from him. She seemed calm, as if the room did not matter. Her posture was straight, her hands folded with care. Small lights moved across her clothing, reacting to her breathing. Jisoo tried not to stare, but it was hard. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Finally, Jisoo broke the silence. He asked why she truly came back. He said the colony was afraid, and fear always led to mistakes. Era listened closely. She said she understood fear very well. She had lived inside it for many years. She began to tell her story. After she escaped, Era had wandered through deep space, wounded and alone. Her people had once seen her as weak. Enemies hunted her, and even allies doubted her worth. Many times she almost gave up. But she remembered one human who chose kindness instead of fear. That memory kept her alive. Over the years, Era learned. She grew stronger. She studied strategy, science, and leadership. She faced trials that broke others. Each time she stood again. Slowly, her people began to see her value. She rose through their ranks not by force, but by resolve. Jisoo listened in silence. He felt a strange mix of pride and disbelief. He never imagined his small action could shape someone's future. Era said she returned because her people were watching humanity closely. Humans were new, bold, and unpredictable. Some alien groups saw that as danger. Others saw weakness. Era believed they were wrong. She believed humans were strong in a different way. The doors opened, and human officials entered the room. Among them was Lee Hana, a calm and sharp woman from colony leadership. Her eyes moved between Jisoo and Era with careful focus. Questions followed. Many questions. They asked Era about her ship, her weapons, and her intentions. They asked Jisoo about the past incident. His words were recorded, checked, and questioned again. Era answered with patience. She explained that her ship was defensive, not made for conquest. She said she came alone to show trust. Some officials did not believe her. One officer suggested detaining Jisoo permanently, calling him a risk. Era's calm faded for the first time. Her voice grew firm. She said harming him would be seen as an act of hostility by her people. The room grew tense. Lee Hannah raised her hand and ended the argument. She ordered a pause and requested private discussion with Era. Jisoo was escorted to a waiting area. The walls hummed softly. His thoughts raced. He wondered if he had ruined his life by doing the right thing years ago. Hours passed. When Era returned, her expression was softer again. She told Jisoo that for now, he was safe. The colony leaders had agreed to continue talks instead of conflict. Outside the center, the colony struggled with fear. News spread fast. Some people demanded weapons. Others demanded peace. Old fears of invasion returned. Jisoo was allowed to return home under watch. Era remained in the center, but insisted on seeing him daily. Guards followed every meeting. During those meetings, Era asked Jisoo about human life. She asked about families, work, and dreams. She was curious about simple things. Why humans laughed during danger. Why they protected strangers. Jisoo explained as best he could. He said humans survived because they adapted. They were not the strongest, but they refused to stop. Era listened with deep interest. One evening, alarms sounded again. This time, they were sharper, filled with urgency. Unknown signals appeared at the edge of the system. Not Era's people. Something else. The colony defenses were not ready. Era stood with the leaders as data filled the screens. She recognized the patterns at once. An aggressive alien faction was approaching. They saw the colony as an easy target. Fear returned stronger than before. Era spoke clearly. She said this was why she came when she did. She had hoped to warn humanity in time. Jisoo watched as humans and aliens worked side by side, sharing data and ideas. There were mistakes, arguments, and fear. But there was also speed. Humans adapted faster than Era expected. She saw engineers change plans within minutes. Pilots volunteer despite low chances. Medics prepare without orders. Era felt something change inside her. She realized that humans were not weak at all. They were brave in quiet ways. As the unknown ships drew closer, Era looked at Jisoo and told him the truth. She did not know if peace would survive this test. But she knew one thing for certain. If humanity stood its ground, the galaxy would remember this moment, and she would stand with them. The days that followed felt heavy and fast at the same time. Haven Ridge no longer slept. Lights stayed on through the night, and ships moved in and out of orbit without pause. People worked until their hands shook, driven by fear and hope together. Kong Jisoo was placed inside the main operations center. He did not wear a uniform, but no one questioned his presence anymore. Era stayed nearby, watching everything with quiet focus. She spoke little, but when she did, people listened. The unknown fleet moved closer. Long-range scans showed shapes that looked sharp and dark, built for battle. Human defense ships were few. Their weapons were old compared to alien designs. Many officers believed they would not last long. Still, no one stopped working. Jisoo moved between stations, helping engineers fix broken links and weak signals. Human systems were never perfect. They failed often, but they were flexible. When one part broke, humans found another way. Era watched him closely. She noticed how humans argued loudly, then solved problems together minutes later. She saw fear on their faces, but also stubborn strength. No one waited for orders when action was needed. Lee Hana coordinated the defense with calm control. She trusted Jisoo with access others did not have. Some officers questioned her choice, but she stood firm. She said humans survived because they trusted the right people at the right time. As the enemy fleet entered the outer system, communication attempts failed. No response came back. Silence confirmed hostile intent. Era identified the attackers as a faction known for taking worlds without warning. They believed fear was the fastest way to win. They underestimated species they considered young or weak. She said they had made the same mistake before. The first attack came without sound. A distant station went dark. Then another. Panic spread across the screens. Human pilots launched anyway. Jisoo felt his heart pound as alarms filled the room. He wanted to run, but his hands kept moving. He rerouted power, patched links, and rewrote commands on the fly. He did things no manual allowed. Era stood beside him. She placed her hand on a glowing panel and connected her systems with human networks. The mix caused sparks and errors at first, but they stabilized. For the first time, human ships received early warnings instead of late ones. The battle reached the colony. Enemy fire tore through space. Human ships fell, but not quietly. They moved in strange patterns, breaking formation, forcing the enemy to adjust. Every change bought time. Era realized something important. Humans did not fight to win perfectly. They fought to endure. On the ground, civilians were moved into shelters. Some cried. Some prayed. Some helped others without being asked. Jisoo noticed a pattern in enemy signals. It was small, almost hidden. He showed it to Era. She studied it and froze. She said it was a command relay. If disrupted, enemy ships would lose coordination. Human weapons could not reach it. Silence filled the room. Then Jisoo spoke. He suggested using old mining drones. They were slow, ignored by enemy scans, and filled with unstable power cells. No one had ever used them in combat. The plan was risky. Lee Hana approved it. Engineers worked fast. Pilots volunteered to guide the drones manually. Many knew they might not return. Era watched humans prepare to sacrifice without hesitation. She felt respect grow into something deeper. The drones launched. Enemy ships ignored them. Moments later, the command relay went dark. Chaos spread through the hostile fleet. Ships collided. Weapons fired blindly. Humans pushed forward. The battle did not end quickly, but the balance changed. What was once certain defeat became a hard struggle. Jisoo slumped into his chair, exhausted. Era looked at him with something close to wonder. She said no advanced strategy would have predicted that move. Jisoo replied that humans survived by using what others forgot. As the enemy began to retreat, cheers filled the operations center. Some cried openly. Others laughed in disbelief. Era stepped forward and addressed the room. She said her people would remember this day. They would remember how humans stood when fear tried to break them. Later, when the alarms finally fell silent, Era stood with Jisoo near a window overlooking the colony. She told him that the galaxy was watching now, and humanity had just spoken. The retreat of the enemy fleet did not bring peace. It only brought silence, and silence felt dangerous. Haven Ridge stayed on alert. Ships patrolled the sky, and sensors scanned the dark edges of the system again and again. Kang Jisoo barely slept. His body felt heavy, but his mind stayed awake. Every sound reminded him of alarms. Every shadow felt like a threat. Still, he returned to the operations center each day, because work was the only thing that kept fear away. Era remained with the human leaders. She shared what she knew about the hostile faction. She spoke honestly, without hiding hard truths. She said the enemy would not forget this defeat. They would return stronger, or they would spread stories meant to turn others against humanity. Lee Hana listened carefully. She asked what humans should do next. Era answered that humans must be seen, not hidden. They must speak with one voice and show they were not alone. Plans began to form. Jisoo helped repair damaged stations and rebuild broken networks. He worked with engineers who once doubted him. Now they trusted his instincts. They had seen what humans could do when pushed. Civilians slowly returned to the surface. Buildings were damaged, but standing. People helped each other without orders. Some shared food. Others shared stories of fear and survival. The colony felt changed, closer than before. Era walked among them, escorted but not feared. Children stared at her with wide eyes. One child waved. Era hesitated, then waved back. The simple gesture spread quickly. Fear softened. Later that day, a message arrived from deep space. It was not hostile. The signal came from Era's people. A large delegation was on its way. The news caused mixed reactions. Some humans welcomed it. Others feared a trap. Memories of the battle were still fresh. Era assured them this was a chance, not a threat. Her people wished to witness humanity for themselves. The delegation arrived days later. Massive ships entered orbit, slow and careful. They did not deploy weapons. Instead, they sent open channels and requests for dialogue. The landing field filled again, but this time without panic. Jisoo stood beside Lee Hana and Era as the first envoys stepped onto human soil. The aliens looked different from Era, varied in shape and size. Their eyes studied everything. Era spoke first. She addressed her people and spoke of humans with respect. She told the story of the wounded stranger who chose kindness. She told them how humans stood against fear with limited tools but strong while. Her people listened. Then Jisoo was asked to speak. He froze. He was not a leader or a soldier. He was just a man who fixed broken things. But he stepped forward. He spoke simply. He said humans were afraid when the stars opened to them. He said they made mistakes, but they learned fast. They helped each other because survival demanded it. He said humans did not want war, but they would not run from it either. The words were not grand. They were honest. The alien envoys reacted with interest. Some exchanged quiet signals. Others nodded. Talks continued for hours. Data was shared. Stories were exchanged. For the first time, humanity was not a rumor or a threat. It was present. That night, a warning signal appeared again. The hostile faction had not fully retreated. A smaller force had broken away, aiming to strike during talks. Panic threatened to return. Era reacted instantly. She requested control access from both sides. Human leaders agreed. Jisoo worked beside her as systems merged again. This time, there was no hesitation. Humans and aliens trusted each other enough to move fast. The enemy ships appeared at the edge of the system. The combined defense activated. Human ships flew alongside alien vessels. Different designs. One purpose. The enemy hesitated. They had expected fear and confusion. Instead, they found unity. A short but fierce clash followed. The enemy withdrew quickly, unwilling to face a united force. Silence returned, but this time it felt different. Era turned to her people and spoke clearly. She declared that humanity was under her people's protection, not as subjects, but as allies. The declaration echoed across channels and stars. For the first time, humans were no longer alone in the dark. Later, as the delegation prepared to leave, Era stood with Jisoo beneath the open sky. Stars stretched endlessly above them. She told him her people wished her to return with them. She had earned great honor. Jisoo felt a quiet fear. He did not speak it. Era looked at him and said the choice was not easy. Her duty pulled her one way. Her memory pulled her another. She said she needed time. Jisoo nodded. He understood. As the alien ships rose into the sky, Haven Ridge watched in silence. Humanity had stepped onto a larger stage, and the universe had answered. The days after the alien delegation left were quiet, but not empty. Haven Ridge felt different now. People walked with their heads higher. They still feared the stars, but the fear no longer ruled them. Humanity had been seen, and it had not been found wanting. Kang Jisoo returned to his old home at the edge of the colony. The silence was familiar again, but it no longer felt lonely. Messages arrived daily from the operations center, from engineers asking for advice, from leaders asking for help. He answered when he could. Era remained. Her decision surprised many, including her own people. She chose to stay on Haven Ridge as a bridge between worlds. Officially, she was an observer. In truth, She was something new. She and Jisoo spent time together, walking the quiet paths outside the colony walls. They spoke of small things: food, weather, human music, alien stars. Some memories were shared. Some were left untouched. Era told him that her people had debated her choice. Some believed she should return and lead from afar. Others believed staying was the greatest sign of trust. Era agreed with the second group. She said that humans changed her understanding of strength. Power, to her people, had always meant control and precision. Humans showed her another kind of power: the power to stand up after failure, the power to protect without command, the power to care. Jisoo listened quietly. He said humans learned those things because they had no other choice. Era smiled and said choice mattered more than strength. Weeks passed. Trade ships arrived. Not warships, explorers, scientists, diplomats. Humanity's place among the stars began to form, slowly and carefully. Other alien groups sent signals, curious instead of hostile. They asked questions. They asked how humans had survived their first true test. The answer was never simple. One evening, as the sun set behind the hills, a message arrived from deep space. It carried a warning. The hostile faction had begun to lose influence. Their failed attacks had weakened their image. Others now questioned their methods. Era explained that fear only ruled until it was challenged. Haven Ridge held a gathering that night. Not a celebration, but a moment of unity. Humans stood together beneath the open sky. Era stood among them, not apart. Lee Hannah spoke briefly. She said humanity would continue to explore, but it would not forget what it had learned. Trust must be earned. Unity must be protected. Jisoo was not asked to speak. He was grateful. Later, Era and Jisoo stood alone again. Stars filled the sky, brighter than before. Era told him that one day she might have to leave. Her people would need her. The galaxy would call. Jisoo said he understood. He had always known this time might come. Era looked at him and said that distance did not erase bonds. Humans had taught her that too. She said she returned after years, because she could not forget a man who treated her as equal when she was nothing. Jisoo replied that she had returned as something far greater. Era shook her head. She said she returned as herself. A soft silence followed. In the months that came, Haven Ridge became a symbol, not of power, but of potential. Stories spread across space. Stories of humans who adapted, who endured, who refused to vanish. Era recorded those stories and sent them to the stars. One message ended with simple words: humans are young, but they are not weak. As Jisoo watched a new ship rise into orbit, carrying humans toward unknown worlds, he felt something settle inside him. He was still just a man who fixed broken things, but sometimes fixing one broken moment was enough to change the future. The universe moved on. Humanity moved with it.